Welcome to Deep Thought, spiritual growth through relationships. You know what? That's one thing, the real reason why relationships are important. And I've talked about this before, but it's, especially in light of my review of Insecure, the latest Insecure episode. You really have to look at relationships as the thing that gets us out of our comfort zone. I mean, it's like I've seen so many people who will be stuck, right? They'll be stuck in jobs. They'll be stuck in bad situations. And then they'll run across that man or woman who just through a relationship with them take them to a new level. Right? In fact, I've told somebody, I used to say this a lot, right? One way you can take a woman, right? A very attractive, sensual woman. She could take a homeless man, and if if she's in a relationship with that homeless man for at least a year, at the end of that year, he won't be homeless anymore. He won't be homeless. Like a woman could rate, they say behind every great man is a woman. There's actually something deeper with that, but I ain't gonna get into that. But in general, the love of the right woman can raise a man to like great heights. And same thing with women. I'll give you an example. This is an old movie, Titanic, right? And you had Rose, and she was going to be stuck in a bad marriage and all of that. And then she met Jack, and Jack just opened her up. And then, they showed, like, after she survived the Titanic, how she just had the ability to go to other levels. She took chances and everything. That's because he opened her up. That's the thing about relationships. It's not just... it's not just a sex thing. It's not just a companionship thing. But because just like I said in, the podcast I did, As Your Mate is Your Mirror, it forces us to confront ourselves. It forces us to confront anything that can hold us back. Like if you're governed by fear, a relationship is going to bring it out. Nothing to bring it out. Jealousy, envy, whatever. That's going to bring it out. Or if, for example, here's an example, right? You have many women that really need a man who's going to be assertive. Now, say you get a guy who's pretty much, he's not assertive enough, and he'll get with a woman who she'll push his buttons to the point he'll become assertive. Now, she might do it she might argue with him, talk trash about him, whatever. Or another way, if it's in that assertive piece, he might always have trouble with it until he puts his foot down, right? Until he puts his foot down and have an agenda and he's decisive, right? And now it might be, he might look at it like while he's in it as an issue, like, dang, why I gotta do this? But she's causing that man to grow. Because now the relationship doesn't last, but then when he gets into the next relationship, he's more decisive. And then that's not even for just the relationships. Because he becomes more decisive, he takes a chance and he's able to, he's able to get more jobs. He's more aggressive about getting a job. He's more aggressive about, going for stuff, standing up for himself on the job, getting raises. He might say, I'm going to be a business person. He might say that. He might just say, you know what, but he becomes more decisive and he jumps out there and do it. Now, he might not be able to point to the exact person. He might not think about that it was his relationship with that woman who required that he was decisive that really pushed him over, that helped him to grow. See, every single time, in every relationship a person have, They need to become a better person after they're a worse person. In fact, I'm gonna tell you what, I can tell, just like I can look at somebody and tell the quality of their mate, I can look at somebody and tell what they need to do. I can tell, their spiritual standing, because it's going to be reflected in like the mates they dealt with. Like if you're a person who just keep having losing streaks, you might need to look at the people you're dealing with. And I've said this before, and I'll say it all the time. Even in relationships, on my relationship channels, my men's channel, women's channel, I give some basic stuff, but at the end of the day, it's all about your spirit. What are you confronting? Sometimes that spirit might involve, or something you need for growth is just to be radically honest with a person. Or you might need to tell them, look, you might need to breaking up with a person, that's a bad situation might be. Because there's a lot of people, when they break up, they do so in a passive aggressive way. They just stop calling, or a slick way. They might start doing some stuff so the other person think they're breaking up. But for their spiritual growth, they might have to just look somebody in the eye and say, you know what, this ain't gonna work anymore. So that's some real stuff. That's some real stuff. You grow in it. Like, I remember this one guy, right? I'll never forget him. I know I had to tell this story because this was so profound. Now, when I met this guy, he was a white guy, right? White guy, office job. When I met him, my first thought was Hitler Youth. He looked just totally conservative. Buzz cut. Just a little dorky. Just a little dorky. He was a nice enough guy, right? Very, very just plain. He actually looked like one of those cats. I hate to say it, looked like one of those cats who would be on like some of these YouTube videos, like bitching about women. I'm just being honest, In fact, he looked like one of those cats who would be at an alt-right rally and stuff with a tiki torch. That's exactly how he looked. That was my very first impression of him. He turned out to be cool, right? But he still had that thing and had a very staid girlfriend. Right? Like they look perfect, like two plain Janes, two basic ass people, right? Now I remember this woman with this pile sex drive started working in the office. Like when I say pile, like wow. It's like there was like no filter on her sex drive. Most people got a filter on their sexuality. She didn't. It was like, I would say this. I'm very open sexually, and there's been a big, I don't know, curse and blessing with me. Her stuff was on such a level, I felt slightly uncomfortable. I was like, God damn. Because I wasn't used to it like in a person in a public forum, like behind closed doors, but she was in the office. And it's interesting, this woman's energy was such, and she didn't dress hoochie or anything like that. She wore regular clothes, but that's how powerful sexual energy was, right? Now, I remember, like, she was real friendly to me. All right, but I had other women to deal with, so I ain't like take her seriously at the time. But I remember there was an office gathering at this bar, right? Just after work thing, and I remember she was real friendly talking, and then I remember I left, and I remember dude, the alt-right looking dude, kind of walked out with me. She walked out, right? And I think he was trying to cock block, but he was safe. I wasn't trying to get with her, right? Anyway, right? I was gone, and then they went back in together. Next few weeks, they were hanging out close as peas and carrots, right? And then all of a sudden, they were at something, and they were all over each other. It was almost inappropriate in the office, and at some private stuff, right? And I was just like, okay. I need to say he got rid of that other girlfriend. But the last I heard from him, dude and this woman, this dude who looked like this conservative, this Hitler Youth, alt-right looking dude, had let his hair grow out. He was living on some commune in Arizona, him and this woman. She opened him up, but that might have been what's needed. Because one thing that moves people to grow, and this is something I've seen in life, people don't change their lives just because, no matter what they say. They try to say they do, but I've never seen it. And even if somebody tell me that they did and it didn't involve a member of the opposite sex, I'll just nod my head like, like, okay. But every single time that I've seen some improvement in somebody or some change in them, there was a member of the opposite sex involved, or if they were homosexual, somebody of an opposite energy polarity involved. I have never seen it to fail. Because that's the one thing on a fundamental level we will change for. We will change for a mate, or a relationship will change us. So, you can grow spiritually. And also, you be killed a little bit spiritually too. But that's another thing. So anyway, Ray, that's all I got for today. I'll get back with you later. Peace.